Hello everyone, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Mom.
And this is Millennial Mom. We are back for another Ready to Love, Season 3, Episode 9, Second Choices, Second what?
Chances.
Review. So we're just going to jump right in to this episode because this episode was mainly about the guys trying to reconnect, to be more vulnerable with someone that they like. Not necessarily their first options, but just to open up their options because one of the women have to go.
Yeah, and I was surprised with that because now it's going to be uneven with one of the women. I think they should have did one woman, one man like they did last week.
Well, then they wouldn't have as much content going into further weeks, so they had to do it one by one.
Okay.
So after the elimination with Brian and Simone, which once again, no one's really surprised that they were eliminated, we see Jay and Winter walk out, and I was surprised by Winter. She said that she is ready to find her priority, her number one love, because she knows that Jay's heart is somewhere else with Joy. And Winter keeps basically asking Jay the same question. And even though some people have their skepticisms about Jay, me being one of those people, he always hits Winter with the same answer. He doesn't sugarcoat nothing.
Right.
He tells her the truth. Like, I'm really feeling Joy. But at this point, do you think Winter should still keep talking about that? Or do you think she should find someone else who might be looking out for her, has an eye for her, aka Anthony?
Yeah, I think she should really stop talking about it because I don't see how this helps her chances with Jay because he has been upfront, he hasn't sugarcoated it. And, a couple episodes ago when he met her friend and she was feeling like, I guess he likes Joy more than he likes me. Because even her friend picked up on that. So why do you keep asking him? I think they connect on a level that's more intellectual, but he's been saying she's his number two. So really stop asking because I think that only hurts your feeling at the end.
Yeah, I think she should too. Anywho, this sets us up later on in the episode because Jake has to sit down with Joy to let her know the task that's going to go down with nephew Tommy. And that is for him to go explore the other options that he may possibly have. And we all both know, and they do, that it's Winter. But even though he knows that he kind of has to venture off, it didn't really seem like he 100% wanted to.
No, he didn't, because when he was explaining it to her, he was like, well, I have to do this. I got to open up. And he felt bad about it. You can tell because he wanted to be upfront and honest, which he's been with both Joy and Winter. And then he was sitting there like, oh my gosh, I think I'm sweating. And she's like, you don't have to sweat about it. Your prize is right here, really. And I just thought it was real nice of him just to even let her know in advance because he didn't have to.
He didn't have to, but he kind of did have to because they're basically on the same house. But my thing was, did they really have to have them go off with someone else if they didn't really want to? Because wouldn't that bring false hope for Winter?
I think Winter has a lot of false hope within her with this relationship potential. Anyways, but while they have their date at the lake, looking at stars, I thought that was nice. Again, the nice creative dates that's been happening on the show. He's trying to show her the constellations in the sky. He's like, if you look real close, you'll see the stars. She's like, yeah, I can see it. I don't know if she really saw it.
It was in specific her Aquarius sign, because at first when he had her look at the stars and like, oh, you see the Aquarius? I'm like, is he an Aquarius? This makes sense. But it was her that's Aquarius. I'm like, well, no, this makes half sense. But Winter was really happy, giddy about the date. But when it came down to those questions, I feel like this was the episode that finally closed the door between Jay and Winter.
Well, really close the door for Winter for Jay.
Well, Jay had his door, it was cracked.
It's cracked because
some wind was blowing in it.
Yeah, because he likes the conversation, he likes the intellectual conversation. Sometimes you do connect with people on an intellectual level, but they still like in the friend zone. But Winter was having the hope or, I know he likes Joy, but, maybe if I can, what you say, give me, like he's missing all this, maybe he'll see that too.
So the question that Winter posed to Jay was, one of his friends, I guess, told production or whoever writes the cards that he is kind of known for giving false hope to the women he's been around, basically leading them on. And she was like, well, do you see that in you? He was like, me?
Right. Me?
No. I don't know who wrote that. Lies. They were all lies. But I was like, Jay, I can kind of see it. Though I can kind of see it, he hasn't 100% led Winter on. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But he didn't really lead her on to me.
He didn't. But let me go back to that. The who? Me? No. I would never. But the answer that he gave her was, I like to build friendships. And upon friendships, that's when you go to the next level. And I believe that Winter feels like, because they connect with conversation, she may be building that friendship. But again, the next level isn't there because he's told you, like you mentioned, to all your points now and even other episodes, he's building that with Joy, not you.
Right. And then the question that Jay gave to Winter, see, every time I say Jay, I always want to say Joy. That's how you know they're not together. Jay and Winter, Jay asks, well, do you have a thing for falling for men who's emotionally unavailable? And she was like, in the past, I have given my all to men who did need fixer-upping, did need help. Is that a word, fixer-upping?
To help fix up, yeah.
And she was like, maybe I can kind of see that with you. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think Jay is 100% emotionally unavailable. I just think he's not available for you.
Again, we keep going around that circle, like I say, circle the wagons. That's exactly what it is. So, not to continue to beat the point over and over.
Well, it's not us, it's the show.
No, I know, but I'm just saying for Winter, and for Jay's explanation, he's been telling her, what's happening. And then part of her question was, her answer was yes. That's what she's used to doing because she's used to helping someone, a man who's down and out, to help them come up to a different level and just giving her all when she's not receiving anything in return, really.
So do you think she was pushing it when she asked him for a kiss? Like, oh, you gave Joy a kiss. How come you never gave me a kiss?
Yeah, I do. And when he gave her that peck on the cheek, I was like...
I feel like that was a sign still delivered. So another exploration date is between Rasheed and Alex. And Rasheed, I have grown to like Rasheed over the episodes because it always seems like he wants to genuinely know people and genuinely connect with people. And that is one of the things that makes Alex like him. And no, I'm not going to be Team Rasheed because, I lost my first boy and then Brian done switched up on me. But anywho. But while they were having that conversation and they were giggling too, we see Adriana just sitting there side-eyeing all by herself. And then the camera pans over to Denise and Calfani because that's another exploration date. So I guess Adriana's just not having any explorations date at this moment.
Nope. But, when Rasheed and Alex do go on their date, and one thing I've always liked Rasheed. didn't think he was whatever.
Narcissist.
Yeah, I never thought that. He just came across as a regular guy to me. But I noticed when Rasheed has his dates, I think he has the nicer dates of everybody. Like
he's cool with production, so he gets the best stuff.
Yeah, he's had the little lake stuff. This time was the fondue,
the truck,
and the champagne, the truck, all that stuff. So, he feels like he's connecting with Alex, but he also knows that deep down Adriana is his number one. But when they're talking and they have their questions, because it's question night for all the couples tonight who's dating. And the question comes up from Alex to Rasheed is, how do you find yourself being vulnerable? Were you vulnerable in your last relationship? And Rasheed said that, he wasn't, but he is now, with him being divorced before. He's taken time to learn, to figure out who he is now, to grow. He was saying how his ex-wife was an entrepreneur, how he's proud of her and she's successful and all this stuff too. But now, just because all his experiences of that divorce, he has learned who he is along the way, with some therapy too. And I thought that was a really good answer, but that's something too that we've actually heard Rasheed say in many episodes, which means that goes back to your point earlier with Jay. He is consistent with the things that he's saying. He's not sugarcoating what's been happening in his life. He's telling the same exact story.
So you think he's for real ready to love?
I do think he's ready to love.
Yeah, you think he's for real?
I do think he's for real ready to love. And then when the question is posed to Alex about her relationships.
Yeah, her potentially be a self-sabotager in relationships. She agrees that, maybe she has done that in the past because she always pushed someone to do something. And whenever, no matter what kind of relationship you're in, even a non-sensual relationship, whenever you push someone who doesn't want to be pushed or who is unmotivated, they're not going to do nothing.
Right.
But have something go in one ear, out the other. You're wasting your time, your breath, your energy, and it basically sucks all of you away.
It does. It drains you. It's exhausting, that we mentioned last week, is that exhaustion factor when you're just over everything. And that's how she's self-sabotaged. But she's realized that about herself too, and she's learning to change it. And another thing that Alex brought up again with Rasheed, because she opened up to him again last week as well, is her DV relationships that she's had in the past and how she's had to learn from that, grow, learn, it wasn't her, she wasn't the reason why things were happening, and to leave and to become the person she is today, and how she's become ready to love.
Now, do you think she's for real ready to love like Rasheed is, or do you think she needs some time to go back to recollect herself, especially because, she was mainly connecting with Brian?
Right. I think, even though we're talking about Alex, do I think she's ready to love? I think she's ready to date.
Well, that's going to lead us to going on the date with Denise and Calfani. And I forgot to mention earlier that Denise, in her confessional, she was just so happy that Calfani finally was talking to her, opening up with her, not with baby girl Adriana. She's like, bye-bye, baby girl. It's my time now with Calfani. And I'm just like, sis, he told you what this date was about. It was about, finding out your other options, because right now he doesn't feel as connected with you like he did once before. So to me, it's not even like a good date. It's kind of like, I kind of have to date. And I don't really like that throughout the episode, because I feel like, I know we're getting off topic, but I feel like they should go out with the people that they want to go out with, because if you're just not feeling the vibe, you're not going to feel the vibe anymore.
Well, I think they're going out with people, as suggested, who you're connecting with. And the people that we've seen the men and the women talk to are people that could be the top 1 and 2 contender. But when Denise was so giddy about, Calfani chose me, not really, sis. It's like he wanted to give you another chance to see if you were connecting. But I'm happy that she was happy, because it does show a different side of Denise that shows that she can be caring and loving, stuff like that, versus the, maybe giving you the side eye, you trying to go for her man.
I mean, but we already found that out, though. She's always been the side eye, and we found out that she's very loving. And especially with this date, she actually opens up about this with Calfani after they had the little massage date. And Calfani was like, I don't want this to end. Of course you don't, Calfani. Just because you're not connecting with her right now doesn't mean you're not trying to in other places. Excuse me, Mom. So the question that Calfani poses on Denise was, have you ever been vulnerable in love? I've never heard that term before. Have you?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Vulnerable. Have you ever been able to open yourself to someone
in love?
In love, give your heart to completely, that you trust them? That's what that means to me.
Oh, well, Denise says she hasn't since 2001. When's the last time you have?
Woo, boy, it wasn't in 2002. Not 2001, maybe more like 2017.
Well, news to me. Well, Calfani was taken aback by this. He was surprised. He was like, that was 19 years ago. Like, what happened? Like, why haven't you been able to do this. And she was like, I had to love myself again, and I had to find myself again. And that's something that I kind of see that happens a lot in the African American community, at least for females in my age
women.
group. Yes, women in particular, and sometimes some men. I know some people too, and it's just crazy how that always seems to like happen. But that's another topic for another day.
It is, and another topic that's going to be off topic, but that goes back to my Ready to Love, the Married at 19 thing. So 19 years ago, technically, throw another year, 20. That's half my life ago. That's when that happened. So no telling if Denise went through something like that, went through a possible young love and had to find herself after all that came to fruition. But, for her to say 2001, which means, so, her DV incident was in between that time too. So there's been different little things that's happened to her that was negative. So I can see why she said she went that far back to 2001 where she felt vulnerable.
And then she asked Calfani, well, what are you exactly looking for in a partner? Is it like a mother figure? And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of also looking for a mother figure for my daughter because her mom hasn't been in her life since, I think he said about one. And she's 12 now. So that's something that he's also looking for. But he reels it back in and kind of, lets her know his concerns that he still has. And that's her jealousy. He cannot get over her intensity with him and the feelings. And he was like, with the job that I have, I feel like you're not going to be able to trust me. And that's going to be an issue for me because I've been in something like that before. And she was like, I can't stop my feelings.
Yeah, she said that, but she was trying to convince Calfani that, it's not going to be like that. I like you. Pretty much I'm falling for you and I'll support you and be there for you. But Calfani's in his mind like,
It's not the convincing that he needs. He knows that she likes him. I guess everybody knows it at this point. Yeah. It's just the intensity that she brings.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it.
It's a lot. Now moving on to the date that I really like to watch from this whole entire episode. And that was Edwin and Joy. Edwin lets us know that Joy is the only one he's looking at and looking for. And Joy lets us know she likes Edwin, but she doesn't like Edwin like that because she ultimately doesn't feel that Edwin is ready to love.
That goes back to what I've been saying. You can connect with someone intellectually, but they aren't going to get to the next level because that's not where it's at. And I believe that this has been that type of connection with Edwin and Joy from when they first linked up. I think Edwin is drawn to Joy because of her energy and her nurturing and stuff like that. And she takes time to listen because during the date and they get to their questions, Edwin is asked about his vulnerability. And he goes to say, like he's been saying too, he has a hard time opening up. If things happen, whether it be finances or anything like that, he said Edwin got it. He'll find a way to figure it out. And he doesn't know how to ask for help. And that's why he's drawn to Joy, because he feels like she connects and she listens to what he's saying. And because of her, he's now going to reach out for that type of therapy that he's needing. And then when it came to Edwin asking Joy the question about, you vowed to never make the same mistakes from your past, and if so, what were they? And she goes on to say that she was a little too open, right?
She's like, yeah, she was a little bit too open and she was a little bit too giving. She was always giving herself to people, once again, giving that energy, but never receiving anything back. And you can definitely tell that Joy is a giver because she always listens to Edwin. I think she's the only woman, maybe even person in the house who has that connection with Edwin and actually listens fully to what he has to say. Edwin still has some things in his past and probably even still ongoing that he hasn't dealt with, that he needs help with. And he seems to be inspired by Joy and what she's been through. So he's taking that all in, but it was getting so heavy and so deep. Edwin felt it. He was like, you know what? I wish we had some music out here. So let's just slow dance. And it just looked like a really good dance between two friends. And at that point, once again, it was kind of signed, sealed, delivered that they are just better off being friends. And this brings for us to go later on in the episode where Joy reconnects with Edwin because she knew something was off and she just wanted to make sure he was all right. And he just said probably the nicest speech I have ever heard someone say on this show. He just really appreciates her for listening to him, giving him the time, the space, and energy that he needs. And although he knows deep down that she probably isn't going to choose him, he still thinks that she's an amazing person. And I was like, that was very deep, grown.
That was just all grown men. I appreciate that, and I know Joy appreciated that. And at the end, he was like, you know, I learned something from you, and I hope you're just blessed to be blessed. And I was like, yep.
I'm like, are you leaving right now, Edwin? Is this your final goodbye?
No, it wasn't. It was final goodbye with her. But
well, he'll be the next one to go, I'm sure, because that was his main match.
Now we move on to Rasheed and Adriana. And Rasheed sits Adriana down. Was like, you know, I missed you. You know, did you go on other dates? And she didn't. But Rasheed's main point to Adriana was, or is, listen, you're my number one. I'm here for you.
You're my priority. That's what he said.
And Rasheed asked her, so how do you feel about that? She was like,
I know, no real answer on that.
I was like, ooh. She's like, but then I guess, you know, when the time comes, then I'll know. I'll make my decision. I was like, wow. So she really is torn between Calfani and Rasheed.
But I was on Rasheed's side. I feel like at this point in the game, and probably even a little bit earlier, you already know who you really like and who you vibe with. Plus, it's a show, and you know you have to make a decision sooner or later. So you have that in your head. I just feel like Adriana didn't want to hurt Rasheed's feelings because it seems like it might be Calfani, but she's still teetering in between, so who knows. But that kiss though, and he gave her a gift, which was a songbook because he knows that she likes to sing. It was intense. I was like, girl, are you thinking about Rasheed or are you thinking about Calfani? Like, I don't know. Like, I was confused too.
Because, you know, when they had that kiss, I was like, you know, she kisses that passionate with Calfani too, but she really might be torn. But I really think, you know, even though her and Rasheed have known each other previously, so they have that connection. Yeah, I still think it's tipped for Calfani though. I think Calfani has the majority, but she's not sure where he stands with Denise because she knows that his connection with Denise coming in was strong too.
So you think if Calfani sat Adriana down and was like, you're my number one, she's going to roll with Calfani?
I think so.
I think so too. So it looks like Winter was a lucky one to have 2 dates. Well, would you really consider her lucky?
No?
Yeah, I wouldn't either. But she just so happened to have 2 dates. And this date is with Anthony. And Winter basically says, you know what? Jay pretty much gave me all the answers that I needed. And you know what? I'm ready to go look for somebody else. Anthony has his eyes set on me. So if Anthony's ready, he can get all this.
Yeah.
I was like, Winter, he should have had that energy last week. But while he was still mamboing, but okay.
I was thinking the same thing, but at the same time, I was like, well, are your feelings hurt because of Jay? Because like you said from last week, it's like, oh, he should fight harder for me. Now you have your eye on him because Jay said you was his number 2.
And you got the kiss on the cheek. So during their date, they're playing badminton. And of course, with most people's dates when they're being competitive, it's always a kiss or doing something. I don't remember who won. I just know they both kissed. And Winter was trying to make it seem like she was really into it. And then Anthony tried to make it seem like he was really into it. But I didn't really feel like they were both into it. That's just my feelings.
Well, Winter won. So because remember she got her kiss and the piggyback ride back to the house.
Does it really matter who won?
To Winter it does because she wants somebody to fight for her. And Anthony kind of did
in
this
badminton?
time. Okay. That's what she wanted. She wanted him to fight, so he fought this time. I still don't necessarily see that connection. I think it's kind of like a rebound for her. And honestly, with Anthony, again, for my third week in a row, I just don't see him connecting with anyone, including Denise, who they both say that there's a connection there. But okay. So the questions were posed for Winters, like, how is it with you being an alpha female? Like, how is that for you in relationships? Do you think that's an issue with men? Mm-hmm. And her response
and of course, it is, more than likely.
Yeah, her response was, it is because, she's an entrepreneur. She's used to taking care of business, used to taking care of doing everything in her life. She just wants a man who could come in and really let her be her. Fall back, be calm, take over the reins when it's time to take over the reins.
She should have been messing with that country boy in the beginning. He was ready to do all that. You remember him?
David.
No.
Well,
she basically said, you know what? I can see that in you, Anthony. You look like you are ready to do that for me. And of course, Anthony's like, yeah, I'm going to do that for you. But then when we get to Anthony's question, which was, have you ever been in love before? He's like, no, I haven't really been in love. But didn't she ask him that question before?
She did.
Or did someone else ask him that question?
That question's come up with Anthony, regardless of who asked it. Anthony's answer was no. He's never been in love before.
He said he's been in love with football.
Right. And Winter, goes in her mind thinking like, that's unusual for him not to be in love before. But I'm thinking not really, because you're not in love, or you don't love everyone you're with. Everyone doesn't have that love feelings or projection, stuff like that. But go ahead.
Do you think Anthony was feeling that love from when he was playing football, from like the fans, maybe the groupies or whatever? Do you think that was him getting the love and he felt like he was receiving love?
Yeah, because he said, when he was playing football, because that comes up too all the time, that's when he was Tony. But now he go by Anthony. Anthony's explanation of how things were then to how they are now, I could kind of see where he's coming from, because I'm not saying he doesn't have a professional career now, but when he was a professional football player and he was used to your point, those groupies and the fans showing all the love, it was a different kind of, comes across as a different kind of success. It reminds me of the way Simone, when she was in the house, how she would always talk about her background being a lawyer and how she couldn't turn that off. So it's a different kind of love you get from people who's in your type of environment. Mm-hmm. So you feel that, you exude that, but when it comes to relationships, you're not necessarily getting that back. And so now that the time has gone on, now this is my opinion, now that time has gone on and you're in a certain place in your life, now you're ready to transition into, as Anthony said, to Anthony, to be that person, to meet that woman that he's looking for.
So do you think Anthony is for real ready to love?
I think Anthony's ready to date and ready to explore.
Well, maybe he should be a producer on the show, ready to date. All right, so now at the end of the episode, the men all, of course, sit back down with nephew Tommy, asking them how it went with the people that they didn't have connections with, to see if they really do have connections. And of course, no one's answer is really going to change, because everyone is basically feeling who they're feeling at this point. And we all know it's the top people. Joy, Adriana. You could throw in Winter in there a time or two. One right now, because it was Calfani, but Calfani didn't say Denise's episode. It was only Anthony.
Right.
And there was only one person's name who I didn't hear, and I was like, I already know who's going to go. And we already knew who was going to go last week. And you all already knew who should have went home by her own self, taking her own self out in the competition. But they didn't say Alex's name, so we know Alex is going to go home. And Calfani sits down with Alex basically to let her know the news. But I was kind of surprised they didn't put Calfani with Denise. Do you think Denise, I don't know. I feel like Denise probably would have said something to Calfani.
I'm glad
try to reel him back in.
No. I'm glad they didn't put Calfani with Denise, because every time Denise has been on the bottom, which seemed like it's been almost every time, they've sent Calfani to talk to her, it seems like. And I think that someone who you're not interested in or connected to should talk to you, because then, the conversation will be a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Was Anthony that talked to him. That's his connection.
So they said.
But that whole conversation with Anthony and Denise, it was basically Denise saying, how she's going to try to be more vulnerable, how she's going to be more open, and she is really feeling Calfani. But I was like, the only reason why you're still here is because of this man right in front of you.
Now, speaking of Calfani, he's talking to Alex, and he's telling Alex how, he wish he had more time with her. She's beautiful. She dresses so nice. And, it's a shame that Brian was all like, come here, you with me. Like she didn't get a chance to really mix and mingle with too many people. And Alex was saying how, she wants to be here. She wants to be open with more men and stuff like that and make more connections. But really at the end, it was time for her to go. And I think that the way Calfani explained it to her,
it was really nice.
It was nice. He let her down easy. But I think Alex knew it was coming.
I feel like Rasheed should have been the one to tell Alex, because Alex and Rasheed had a connection, even though Alex said she was trying to mix and mingle with other people. I don't think she was. She wasn't for real ready to love. Well, that was the end of this week's episode. It seems to be wrapping up pretty quickly and swiftly, which I really appreciate. I think one of the men is going to go home next week. It's probably going to be Anthony, because who is he really connecting with besides Denise?
Well,
sorry, in winter.
I don't know. We'll see. Is a different combination to come up each week, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. I'm excited for the show to see who the final 3 couples are, because it looks like there's going to be something that's going to shake the house up where the couples might be rearranged.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll find out in 2 weeks, coming in January 1st, 2021. But thank you all for watching this week's episode. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments what you think about this episode. Who do you think is going to be in the top 3? Because I have no idea who's going to be in the top 3. Do you?
Honestly, I don't know who's going to be in the top 3. The front runner is Jay and Joy. Outside of that, Calfani is between Denise and Adriana, so it's a pick 'em on that one, because even Calfani's heart doesn't know where it wants to go.
Well, once again, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for some videos we have coming out soon.
Thank you all for watching, and as always, live simply, be grateful.